The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 17 17 700. Talking Scottish football first.
Yeah, good evening. Too many people talking for all the wrong reasons about Scottish football. Police have made 9 arrests, as we heard in the news, after the Old Firm on-pitch battle of some of the fans, a minority of the fans afterwards. The cops say there are more arrests to come. Celtic's 4-2 penalties win after 0-0 after 90, 0-0 after extra time. There was then mayhem and brought shame on Scottish football, and in particular on the Big Two. And everyone wants their say on this. What do you think? Were you there? Give us a call, 0808 17 17 700. And on the football, Celtic are through to another semi-final, this time against St Mirren, of course, who won the League Cup just a few months ago. And in a weekend of some shocks, it's Dunfermline against Falkirk. Could the Bairns have their name on the trophy? We'd love to talk about the game. We will. It was pretty poor, of course, but then the mayhem afterwards. Well, Kevin Kyle is with us tonight, the former Rangers, Sunderland, Scotland star. And Charlie Mulgrew, star of Celtic, Scotland and Premier Sports yesterday. Charlie, I'm going to start with you. You were there. What did you see? What did you think at full time?
First of all, on the pitch, Paul, I thought it was a great battle between the two teams. Rangers played the better, but Celtic fought well and defended well. A real top performance from the centre halves. Trusty was top notch. Scales was really good. Benjamin Arthur was brilliant as well. Dane Murray, when he came on, was brilliant. Arojo, the back four, and Sinisalo were brilliant. A real show of the art of defending in terms of defending your box. Rangers dominated possession, dominated territory, but couldn't create. So it was a good spectacle to watch. And although there was no goals, it was an interesting battle between two teams that one was depleted without Callum McGregor and Kieran Tierney, big players missing with injuries, but defended the box really well, offered very little off the ball, and Rangers attacked really well and created a lot. In terms of what happened after the match, Celtic fans celebrated. Let's look at it, the context of it. It's a quarter-final of a Scottish Cup. Both teams potentially got a chance of either of them not winning the league. This is a trophy for both teams. They've probably seen it as their final. It's at Ibrox. It goes to penalties, extra time and then penalties. And Sevenjara scores, and you could just imagine the emotion that was going through both sets of fans. Celtic fans invade the pitch. Don't ever condone that.
Because they shouldn't have done that. They should have stayed in the stand.
Stayed in the stand. But listen, it's a derby. We call it the biggest derby in the world, right? And I think that's true, with the passion and the emotion that goes into it. Sometimes it's going to spill over that line. I don't condone it, but these things happen. Then the Rangers fans retaliate by running on the pitch. Don't condone it. Shouldn't happen. Celtic fans shouldn't go, and Rangers fans shouldn't go, and these things happen. Now, you don't want MD getting hurt. You don't want MD getting thrown. You don't want flares getting flung in amongst fans. So listen, it's no ideal, the scenes after the game. Thankfully, the stewards and the police done a great job in calming it right down. I think the horses were getting brought on at one point, and the Rangers fans went back into the stand. So it was calmed very quickly, and hopefully nobody got hurt. Paul, you don't want to see it, but in derbies like this, sometimes emotion spills over with everything into context. These things happen. It's always a few. It's the minority. It's not the majority. So I don't think, hopefully, teams don't get punished in terms of away fans getting in stadiums in the future.
Well, that's the rhetoric today. I mean, the Rangers fans shouldn't have got on the pitch. They should have just gone home. Yeah. They'd lost the game. The Celtic fans have already said shouldn't have been on the pitch as well.
Yeah.
They should have been ushered back off. Was there enough policing and stewards there? That is one of the questions. The SFA inquiry is underway. We pay fortunes for policing and stewarding. Is it effective? It wasn't effective enough yesterday. And you don't have to be Einstein to work out that if Rangers lost the game, Kevin, you watched it in telly as I did as well, then it's a flashpoint. Of course it is. It was like a cup final. It's just such a pity this happened. What did you see when you watched it?
Like Charlie's just described, the emotion of beating your greatest rivals in a penalty shootout at their ground. Like, I've never experienced that. I don't know if Charlie has, maybe at some point in his career played with Celtic, but that emotion becomes so much that as a fan, you also feel that emotion. And maybe in hindsight, what would the police ask themselves and the stewards ask themselves differently? should we have lined up at the Celtic end so that if they were to win victorious in the penalty shootout, there was no chance of them getting on the park? Maybe that's the one thing that could possibly change. Could you have lined up the stewards behind the goal? Of course you couldn't, because obviously they're shooting into that end. So there will be lessons to be learned. For me, it's no great. I don't condone it, but it's got people talking about Scottish football in a bad way, which is never good. But listen, my brother was in the crowd.
Was he? Yeah.
My brother came up for Stranraer, his pals, was in the crowd, and he's very much against some of the things that some sections of Celtic supporters are for, which is understandable. But at the same time, every fan's different. Yeah. My brother sat there, took it all in, enjoyed the celebrations, whereas some decided to spill in the park. Listen, well, we're Celtic fans, Golden Rangers fans, possibly putting the hands up, doing whatever it is they needed to do, and Rangers fans have reacted to that. Thankfully, everybody managed to get themselves off the park. The stewards and the police got it under control, but we saw violence before the game, we saw things after the game. It's this fixture, it always happens, but this time it's been escalated to a level that we're really talking about something serious.
Loads of calls coming in. 0808 17 17 700. Kevin, thanks for coming in today. Craig Moore would have been here, but he's a late injury, so we really thank you for coming in. Last time you were on the phone, you called in about youth football, because I know you do a lot with the team up there in Cumbernauld. So thank you. Kevin Curl is here, along with Big Charlie, after his birthday weekend, 40 years old.
A few more greys in that beard.
Yeah. There will be after this tonight, the next couple of hours. Look, listen, we're so pro Scottish football here. We are hopefully the voice of Glasgow in the West. But, I mean, elsewhere, you see Talk Sport this morning and listen to Jim and Simon and people coming on from all sides, and they're talking about it for an hour and 20 minutes, but for the wrong reason. Yeah. Let's get our first caller. Paul is on, and I think he was there, a Rangers fan from Paisley at the game. Paul, good evening. Hello, Paul. Well, he was there. He was at the game. One more try. I wonder what he's going to say. We'll come back in a moment or two. Shall we hear from the managers what they were saying about it? And actually, Kevin, see from a football point of view, watching it then, Celtic, one of the poorest Celtic teams in a long, long time. We know the story all season. That's partly why Brendan Rodgers is away, Wilfred Nancy in and out. Martin O'Neill is there. That's Paul on the line. We'll come back to the managers in a moment or two. Paul, you're on now. Good evening.
Evening, Paul. Thanks for
no problem, Paul. What's your point? Were you at the match?
Aye.
Yep. So what do you make of it?
First of all, I want to say congratulations to Celtic, first of all, because they won, right? I don't condone the behaviour. Listen to the guys here saying that. Yep. But I was listening to David Tanner. I don't know if you heard him, Paul.
Okay,
about
yep.
Talk Sport. Totally agreed with him. I think the guy, I don't know what Charlie thinks, the guy, Rocco, I think somebody at Celtic need to rein that guy in, because he did it at Kilmarnock. Now, I know emotions, I get that, but what David Tanner said, I totally agreed with.
Well, what did David Tanner say? What do you think he said? Because out of everything, you're choosing a Celtic player there. What about the Celtic? One of the staff was attacked by one of the fans. I mean, come on, Paul. Let's not do...
No,
I mean... Right, okay.
Did you see what he did to the crossbar?
He shouldn't have been on that. Absolutely. Agreed. What about the Rangers fans attacking a Celtic member of the backroom team?
Well, I'm neutral, right? I don't condone that. I totally don't condone that. But what David Tanner said was, he said the fans stay in the stand, right? The fans stay in the stand, and the players stay on the field. That's the way it should be.
Well, it's not just David saying that. Everyone would say that, Paul. So, right, for those that... Of course they should. Absolutely. And then the players are allowed to celebrate. I'm not defending a Rocco here. Charlie, what was your view on that? And there is a danger. They are allowed at some places to go into the stands. They're not supposed to. They do. And it has got the it can end up with days like yesterday.
I think we're making judgments on players and fans based on emotion. I mean, what we walk a tightrope in the biggest derby in the world. So sometimes it spills over that, right? And again, like Paul says, we're not condoning the behaviour. But sometimes, can you imagine, Paul, being a player in that fixture and you winning that at that point with a penalty shootout, having been Celtic? Let's be honest, Celtic were battered for a long percentage of the match. A large percentage, if not 90 minutes, 70, 80 minutes, without
But Charlie's jumping all over the crossbar. I mean, come on. I mean,
I didn't see him jump on. Did he actually? I didn't see.
He's
him
assaulted the crossbar, right? That's his point. And Paul, what about assaulting a member of the opposition? That's not on. So that's tit for tat. Kevin, what do you feel as a former Rangers player? Nobody wants to. Araujo, he shouldn't have been doing that. I hear Charlie saying about emotion. Kevin, you've played in these games. What do you think? What would you say?
I've obviously not played in Old Firm. The Rangers I was in was obviously further down the divisions at the time. But the reality is, Charlie summed it up with emotion. I've played in games where I've scored a last minute winner. Yeah. I remember scoring a last minute equaliser against Newcastle for Sunderland at the Stadium of Light, 94th minute. Yeah. Fans jumped out of the park and it got disallowed. Linesman took my glory away. But I knew how that felt. So if he's talking about Araujo maybe at Kilmarnock jumping into the crowd, you're talking 93, 94, 95 minutes when you're 1-1 for most part, 2-2 or whatever it was, to score the winner and keep your team in the league title race, and then for big time to score the penalty on Saturday to win the game. That emotion over, and obviously during the game, Araujo, he's got himself stuck in. He's had some challenges, naughty challenges against and for. He's put his own boot in, and his emotions are high. You can see that.
Him and Romans have had a bit of a spat a couple of times, haven't they?
So after the game, he's obviously just went to join in with the bandwagon of, I'm Celtic Football Club. I'm going to enjoy this moment. This might not come around too often. I'm on loan. I'm going to go back to Bournemouth at the end of the season. And the Celtic fans have loved that. They always say don't fall in love with a loan, but there's times when Rangers fans, if you think of Charlie, when Charlie spotted water in the dog, it's like, what we going to moan about?
Exactly. And I think, Paul, when we're talking about players being perfect and acting absolute perfectly, can you imagine watching a derby and everybody's the other side of that line and it's very calm and nobody's putting tackles in and everybody's helping each other up and everything's all nice and there's not a lot of intensity? It would, all of a sudden the fans would be saying, what's going on here? Where's the fight? We need to see players. We can't ask for players to show fight for their club, yet when it gets to the other end, no, calm down now. What comes, the rough with the smooth, that's what happens. You play in these games, you feel the emotion, sometimes it spills over. Is it right? Is it wrong? Listen,
Paul,
can't be perfect.
Paul, would you say that if Araujo was in your team and your team won yesterday, are you going to sit there and say, he needs to calm down? Of course you're not.
No, but I'm taking about it. You talked about Czerny there. I mean, geez, there was a rumpus about him putting a bit of water on people.
I sat here about Czerny and said the exact same thing. I said, listen, it's a game of football. He sparked a bit of water. Nobody's been hurt.
Exactly.
It's not the end of the world. Let's move on.
Crossbar's no hurt.
Yeah, let's move on.
Paul, as you know, we're not the woke brigade in here. You've got to have a bit of drama in it. We know it. But see, from a Rangers point of view, do you want the Celtic fans, because you can hear it today, everywhere people are saying, the journalists are saying, it's not going to happen again, 7,500 there. Don't expect to see 8,000, 9,000 at Celtic Park. That's such a pity, isn't it?
I want it back, Paul. I mean, it was electric. And it should be back, and I think Rangers did the wrong thing by cutting it. So I admit that. As a Rangers fan, I've talked to mates round about as well that say it shouldn't have been cut in the first place. But now, because Rangers did it, Celtic quite rightly retaliate, and the two of them need to basically try and get it fixed. Do you know what I mean? But this episode yesterday is going to throw a spanner in the works. It really is. And it's a sad, because I mean, we all agree, I agree, that the emotions but that's what makes the derby special. Do you know what I mean?
Paul, you were there, so what's your, do you think, see the Union Bears, the Green Brigade, hold on, and the Green Brigade, did you feel a bit threatened in general going to the matches now? It's kind of changed, isn't it?
I think on both sides of them, you're right, like the Green Brigade and the Ultras are, let me say, it's like Ned-like behaviour. I can't put it anywhere else. It's putting masks on and running about. I mean, there was kids in, Paul, with their section, and I'm in a kind of family section, and it's a brilliant area. But I'm right down close to the pitch and next to that kind of end. But it's quite. My wife was worried about this. No,
of course.
Not always worried about me all the time, enough. But she phoned me after the game. She said, "Geez, Roy, you all right? Because you've seen the scenes yourself. Do you know what I mean? But it's different from when you see it on TV to you actually in the stadium itself. Do you know what I mean? It just,
of course. And Paul, you've been going, and you went with your dad. You've been going for decades. Charlie, did you feel, you were obviously in the Premier Sports studio? We kind of know, but what did it feel like to you?
The studio's right in amongst the Rangers then. So I was. I was sitting there, I couldn't really show any emotion, which I was sitting on my hands, because obviously you don't want to even half smile if Celtic or when that made a goal went in. I kind of went to smile and jump up because that's what you naturally do, and you think you can't because you're in amongst Rangers fans and you wouldn't want to ignite anything or stir any emotion. So I was in a weird position, but what I saw was an unbelievable atmosphere, starting with Simply the Best as Rangers walked out. Celtic fans joined in to watch that. Both sets of fans singing the same song was amazing. It was quite funny. I loved it. I thought it was and it's, as I said it before, that an amazing game with a lot of emotion. Raskin was in amongst it. Arojo and Raskin went at it at one stage, and it never spilled over. And you thought, brilliant. Like, it never. There was nobody got hurt in it, but there was two sets of players that were giving everything for the cause. Exactly what we want to see. Putting bodies in the line, all this stuff was brilliant. The fans running on at the end.
Paul,
Sure, we can go with that. I'm going to have to move on in a second or two, Paul. Yeah, final point.
I just want to say I'm in mixed emotions because I think I've said this in your show before that I think the Martin O'Neill factor, a bit like Walter Smith coming back to Rangers. I don't know where I'd stick a twist for him, but I was a wee bit. I don't use think. See his press out yesterday. I thought he was more deflated than he has ever been.
Yeah. And I think
I know he's worth a quarter final.
Yeah, he
I
did
think that
sound,
comes.
Sure.
For me, I agree with you. I couldn't believe how deflated he was, but when I actually think about it, he saw that probably as a cup final.
Yeah.
If you look at the rest of the teams in there, no disrespect to any of them, that was a chance because Celtic and Rangers, there's no guarantee that either of the two will win the league this year. In fact, it's looking quite unlikely. So the fact that was a chance to get to a semi-final and then potentially a final, you could understand his disappointment.
Paul, glad you're back safely. Thank you for that. Derek is on the line. Good evening. Hi, Derek. Good evening. Rangers fan.
Hi, Paul. Good evening.
Hi, Derek.
All right, Derek.
Does Charlie or Kyle think that Danny Rose will be the Rangers manager next season?
Kevin Kyle, what do you think?
What do I think, honestly? I think that he's came in, he's turned the fortunes around in terms of getting results. But for me, the biggest of all the controversy yesterday during the game, the biggest worry of all of that was that Rangers squad that's been assembled for however millions cannot beat possibly one of the worst Celtic sides that's been assembled. Well, not assembled. Due to injuries and suspensions, whatever it may be, that Rangers side can't beat a Celtic side. Firstly, last week going 2-0 up, drawn 2-2. This week dominating a game where I would say chance after chance, but big opportunities in a game. Some were very unlucky not to go in. They've hit other players. Fernandes is the handball, and then one header with asking off a Giga and things like that. Obviously, that's unlucky, but also good defending. You would think yesterday that Rangers had to win that. So I would then question, is there a style of play with Rangers where you've won all those games and you've come away and you've thought, God, we're playing really good football now. We've got a right good identity and a shape and a style that's getting us these results. But for me, it just looks like it's kind of like we're just getting over the line each week. We're getting the 3 points, but when they don't, i.e. the start, I think Charlie was talking about something earlier about formations and starting lineups, which is a really good point, which you can go on to. Being 2-0, having your strongest team against, who was you said, Charlie?
So first of all,
go for it.
Come back to Danny Rowe. Sorry. So he inherits a squad he's clearly not happy about. We know that. There's 20 odd million been spent in a team that he's far from happy with. So he manages to get results, relying heavily on Jack Butland, conceding chances, whatever. But anyway, getting results, and then he goes and plays. His first chance he gets was Motherwell. He plays his 4 players that he signed: Romans, Chukwani, Nadiri and Olsen, Skov Olsen. Now he doesn't play them against Motherwell, gets a bit of stick, draws the game 1 each. For whatever reasons, could be knocks, could be full fitness, whatever. He plays them against Hearts, he gets his best performance of the season, by far Rangers' best performance. Then he plays Livingston, he changes that formation as well. So 4-4-2 with the narrow wide men, he changes that, then against Livingston, ends up with a 2 each draw.
Yep.
They then play Celtic and he gets that team back on the pitch. They dominate Celtic for 45 minutes. And then they changes, Diamande comes on into the second half. They can back off it again. They've got a chance to play Celtic the next week. End up drawing 2 each next week. And they dominate the game. Let's not get it twisted. They dominated the game for 120 minutes. Celtic maybe had a wee spell, couple of corners, but Celtic offered nothing out of possession. Rangers absolutely dominated the game. Again, we strongest team that he brought in, his 4 signings in the team. So I think Danny Rowe deserves time to have these players, maybe get another transfer window and see how he does going into the start of next year. That's my opinion. As long as he finishes this year strong, and I think signs are pointing towards that. Do you want more for Skov Olsen? Of course.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But there's good signs there, I think.
Good points. Derek, what do you feel as a Rangers fan?
Well, Dylan, you're a bit of a hypocrite because you didn't give Nancy the time. So, but that doesn't surprise me. 3 wins out of 10, Paul, isn't good enough.
Yeah.
It's simply not good enough. And you're up against one of the worst Celtic teams in about the last 20 years. And if you can't beat that Celtic team, then I think you'll be in trouble. And like, if he doesn't run, go on a run, and I think some of the fans will start turning again.
And some of them are already, Kevin, aren't they? I mean, I think the difference from Wilfred Nancy is that he went in and turned a winning team into a losing team. What was it? 2 out of 8.
Yeah, exactly that, Paul.
Yeah.
But see that the nonsense, Paul, that Danny Rose has dragged Rangers into a title race. They've only dragged because Celtic got Nancy. It's not if Rangers have battered every single team. I mean, you were 2-0 up at half-time against Aberdeen, and the style of football in the second half is dreadful. You're 2-0 up against Celtic to virtually put Celtic out of the title race. And but I don't know what happened at half-time. Livingston, you've got to be battering these teams.
And you were 2 down, I know. Yeah. Actually, Derek, you worry if he doesn't have the killer instinct, Kevin. There is a feeling he did really, really well. But Michael Beale did at the beginning. Remember that run? Philippe Clement went on a run until the moral victory comment. And then Danny Rowe stupidly took on Martin O'Neill 10 days ago. And a lot of people thought that was a mistake. Now, that might have no bearing on the 2 games, but he's up against the wily old fox. Why did he bother about the Stuttgart Celtic not going on? Do you know what I mean?
The reality is that when you're at Celtic or Rangers, it doesn't matter what you've done before as a manager or a coach. It's a completely different environment altogether. Rangers fans expect Rangers to win. Celtic fans expect Celtic to win. And if you're not winning, you're then under pressure. That's just the reality of Scottish football. That's the reality of the role of the manager. Has he got enough experience, i.e. like the Michael Beales of the world, to take Rangers and win them a title? I don't think he has. Whereas with Celtic, as bad as they are playing, they have somebody at the helm right now who's been there, done it, got the T-shirt, and that might just be the factor that sees Celtic maybe give Hearts a push in these remaining 9 games of the season. Do I think? I still believe that between Rangers, Hearts, Motherwell, Celtic, and Hibs as well, because Hibs are certainly not going to lie down to Hearts and let their greatest rival in the city win a league title. There's so many points to be dropped and there's so many points to be gained. It's just a case of who can become consistent.
Derek, just a quick question. At what point, was there any point in Danny Rowe's reign that you liked him as a manager and thought he deserved time?
The unfortunate thing, Charlie, you don't get time in Glasgow.
No, but what I'm saying is, when did you decide that you think he should go?
In the last 2 Celtic games, and I've not been convinced when they were struggling to beat the likes of Aberdeen and that at home. I'm not saying struggling, but when you're 2-0 up, Charlie, you've got to be battering these teams. It could have come down to, and it still could come down to goal difference. Yeah. And Rangers are running over the top of teams. Like, apart from the Hearts game, Rangers have been really poor the whole season.
Yeah.
And if he's to stay, I think Tavernier, Suter, Butland, Diamonde and Raskin, this has got to be the last season. I don't think Rangers will win anything with Diamonde and Raskin in the middle of the field. And I remember, Paul, before the window shut, I said, and it was very quickly shut down by a lot of people, Rangers wouldn't win the league if they didn't have a proper number 10. And yet again, yesterday, Asgard and Ant-Man sat on the bench, £7 million, both of them sat on the bench, and that's 2 games I'm not playing a minute's football.
Well, for me, the reason I'm asking that, Derek, is because when Danny Rowe was picking up results, I think they were playing a lot worse than they've done in the last 2 Celtic games. I know the first game was probably only 45 minutes or 50 minutes, but the game yesterday, Rangers absolutely dominated. So although they never won the game, if they continue to play like they did yesterday, you'd imagine they're going to win a lot more than they'll drop points in. So I think it's too early to call it on Danny Rowe for me. It's easy to get caught up in the emotion, and I can understand the disappointment for the fans and the players and the staff, but I think the way they played yesterday with just that final bit was missing. The Celtic defended that really well.
And that's what's driving the Rangers fans. They're so disappointed. It's the worst Celtic team in years. The people in charge have been asleep at the wheel this season, and Rangers still haven't overtaken them. Celtic are ahead of them in the league. Anyway, got to go to a break. Derek, thank you so much. More calls next.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
Going back on the lines, 0808 17 17 700. We will speak about Dunfermline. What a big win for them against the cup holders Aberdeen. Aberdeen are out of the cup. What about Falkirk? Let's hear from Falkirk fans. John McGlynn, the unsung hero of Scottish football. And, well, they've come out against Dunfermline. And St Mirren get a win and they play Celtic. There's an inevitability about that in the semi-final. Let's go on the lines. Alec is on, a Celtic fan. Hi, Alec. Good evening.
Good evening, thanks for taking my call. First time caller.
Thank you, Alex. Sorry to keep you for so long there.
Nah, you're fine. Obviously, I'm enjoying the show.
Thank you.
Listen to Big Charlie and that.
Yeah.
My point, Paul, was the fact that we've seen it yesterday, we've seen it once, was the fact that when Maeda's goal was chopped off for offside, Charlie,
Yep.
the camera angle looked as if it was nearly the halfway line.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't be in line with the play. And I'm sure that there should be a line drawn straight across, no for the halfway line. And I'm absolutely 90% certain that the big German striker, Nadiri, was playing all Celtic forwards on side.
Listen, we had a look at it in the Premier Studios a few times, Alec, and I'm really unsure who draws the lines or how they even draw them, because I don't trust them as well, and I don't trust the camera angles. I don't know. For me, I must admit, early on I went, when they showed the replay, Scales' foot's offside, but then also thought that Nygren was offside at Pataudry.
Midweek Wednesday night. Yeah.
Wednesday
So when
night.
you say don't trust them, do you just mean technically you're not? Are you questioning their?
I don't. No.
No, you just mean the technical.
No, the technical.
Sure.
No.
The technology.
Other than no other than the technology. I don't know. It's hard. I mean, it's down in South. I think John McGinn's came out and said down South they've obviously got a certain amount of cameras, loads of angles, 50 angles or whatever they've got. I don't know how Scotland are doing it, but the angles they're doing it at, it's like doing VAR with kind of one hand behind your back. It's hard. I don't know, and I did see that angle where somebody else looks like he was playing Scales onside, but only the VAR know how they're doing it and what that looks like.
I'm in Charlie with the lines. I think in England they pay for every single camera to be, because they have the finances. I think in Scottish football we have a watered down version of VAR, and sometimes I always wonder. I'm not being controversial here, but sometimes I wonder if they draw lines just to keep people happy.
Yeah. What, in a job you mean?
Like, just to appease maybe a certain moment in a time.
All right. Yeah.
Because do we ever see that again? Does anybody ever actually say this is how we discussed this? There's the evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that would keep a few people from questioning how they draw lines.
Somebody with a ruler in that VAR room across the screen.
Alec, what did you make of it all? What's your thoughts about it? Do you want to speak about the aftermath or the game itself? Yeah, what about the aftermath? What did you think?
I'm quite sad about it all,
Yeah.
Paul. I'm 72-year-old and I've been to hundreds of Celtic Rangers games. Been to hundreds of Rangers Celtic games. That is the end of it. It will never happen. You'll not have any away support in either ground from now on to way beyond my lifetime, I'd imagine.
Really?
Because television now shows the games. Mm-hmm. Everybody goes on about the atmosphere. Let's be honest about it. The atmosphere has been poisonous for years. Absolutely poisonous. I mean, I'm a good Celtic man. I've got Rangers mates. Yeah. But you go there and the atmosphere is hostile. And what's going to happen now is they're going to save any more trouble on either side, home fans only. And that's what's going to happen. Believe you me, they are going to ban away supporters.
And it won't be the greatest derby in the world, or even maybe in the British Isles, Kevin, if there's not fans there.
I would like to think that they can come up with some sort of solution to having a certain type of fan in the stadium. Yeah. Because I think there's two groups there that quite happily name the Union Bears and the Green Brigade that seem to cause no end of problems. And I think somebody had described it earlier as a bit like Nedry, and that's probably right. There's an immaturity there. It's our voice is bigger than your voice kind of thing, where the reality is there's probably a good 7,000, maybe more Celtic fans in there yesterday that are absolute genuine top Celtic fans that want to see the best for their team and conduct themselves in the best possible way, and vice versa. When Rangers go to Parkhead, it's exactly the same. It's always, in any case, it's always the minority that ruin it for everybody else. I would like to think that, they'll get punished, but let's not think about having no fans in, because I think watching it from the TV yesterday, the atmosphere, although the quality was lacking on the park, the atmosphere was everything you wanted in an Old Firm.
The drama was all there.
Everything was there. The only thing that was missing was a goal and a red card or something.
Yeah.
But the rest was magnificent. It was just what it was. But what happened after the game, we need to find out how we can prevent that from happening, and prevent. Obviously, I think I'm not going to blame one or the other. But if you look at videos of Celtic fans busting through turnstiles because they've not got tickets, Yes.
Kevin, if you look at YouTube today, see, I've been sitting watching it, there's thousands of cameras taking pictures from the Celtic end and to the Rangers end. There's loads and loads of people, police, that can look at that to both ends. They must be able to identify half of these people. Can't identify the Rangers side because they had their wee noddy hoods on, but at the end of the day, when they ran onto the park, at the end of the day, these people are coming into the ground. I'm telling you, my big mate Stephen doesn't miss a match, home and away, and he's 57-year-old or something, and he says it's horrendous. When you go up to places like Aberdeen, Dundee and all this, it's all these young heads. You know what I mean? They're all spaced out their brains. I mean, when I used to go there, a bottle of Eldorado in my back pocket. At least we knew how to behave. At least we knew how to behave ourselves. You know
Spaced out, that's a good phrase, because this is a truth that's not spoken about, that they're not fit to drive or to be... They're on stuff, some of them, Charlie, some of the younger ones there. I'm not just saying it's younger ones, it's just such a pity. Everyone's saying it's just a Glasgow problem, but actually, I see there was
a society problem.
Yeah, exactly.
You call it for what it is. That's exactly what it is. They're going there with not a clear mind on what they're there to witness.
Alex, see, from a football point of view, your club, we could go at, well, I'll ask you two things. First of all, Martin O'Neill, my goodness, he's got something, hasn't he? In that, you know, you were up against Rangers at full strength. You were without your captain, without Kieran Tierney, and yet you're still in the cup. So what do you feel about Martin?
Martin O'Neill would obviously, I mean, I'm a couple of years younger than Martin, and I would love him to stay on at Celtic Park in some capacity. But we were without 9 first-team players yesterday. Everybody, all the Rangers fans are on saying this is the worst Celtic team forever and ever, and blah, blah, blah. But they couldn't beat us. We had 9 players. Well, I'll say 8 because St. Salo, I think, is an upgrade in Schmeichel. You know, so I'll say 8 players: Carter Vickers, Jota, Alistair Johnson, although Arejo is just as good a player. We didn't have a centre forward. We've not got a centre forward. I used to think that the board were doing a great job, but this year they've been terrible, absolutely terrible. We're sitting with £70-odd million in the bank. When Kyogo left, we've not replaced Kyogo. We're 60-odd goals, I think it is, down on last year. And
Adam Ida was allowed to go on the last day. I mean, what did you think of that, Alec? I mean, Adam Ida wasn't the best, but he would have proved to be your striker. They bring in Ian Atcher. You've hardly seen him yet again yesterday. And who was responsible for that they allowed him to go on the last day of the window?
I mean, everybody slated Johnny Kenny and the wee Japanese boys, Shin Yamada. They were chased out the clubs they're away. They boys weren't of the Celtic quality, with Big Charlie will tell you. They weren't the Celtic quality, but at least Kenny ran about and gave you something to aim at. The big boy Thomas, I don't think he kicked the ball yesterday apart from the penalty.
No, I never. I said that it was his first touch.
Stayed cool at that point.
I've said for years, Paul. I've said for years. See, in January, the January transfer window, you only get players that other teams don't want.
Pretty much true, isn't it? Sure. You might get lucky.
Get a diamond.
Which you did a few years ago when Ange was there. That's true. Charlie, what would you say to Alec then about? You mentioned Paul Tisdale then, but he's gone now. But it was the year of the bluffers. Rangers did it with Russell Martin, didn't work out.
So Celtic are missing Carter Vickers, Jota. You just named them there: Cal McGregor, Engels, Katie, Kieran Tierney. It's a huge, chunkier squad missing. Arojo's been a good signing, but recruitment for the last 18 months, especially this season, has been really bad. That's a fact. Now, Paul Tisdale has been has been sacked because of that. Why he was allowed to take over when before that I thought recruitment was actually, it was a good model that was going. Although I think Celtic for next year need to look at their recruitment and have some sort of plan going forward. Have the right people in place that's going to do that. I think John Kennedy was a big part of that recruitment process, and he get told to step aside when Tidsdale came in, and he wasn't part of that anymore, which was a mistake. But Celtic ground a result out yesterday. I don't know how. I mean, they'd one shot on target. That's not sustainable. Callum McGregor not being in the team I knew Celtic were going to have zero control. Even with him in the team, it's hard enough. We saw at Ibrox in the first half last week how hard it is. With him out the team, it was always going to be a struggle, but Celtic's some...
Can I just say, Charlie, a few weeks ago, on this show, you said Callum McGregor playing in Stuttgart, for example, you said rest him.
Don't get me started. I'm so annoyed when I heard before the game that he's not playing with an Achilles, a recurrence of last year's injury, which was Achilles, which is, everybody knows Achilles is an overuse injury. He can't play 65 games a season. Mentally, physically, at 32 years old, it's just impossible. For a 20-year-old, it's hard because you need to... You're captain in Celtic. There's so much pressure on your shoulders. You need to be fresh, going into the games as fresh as you can. And we understand that the top teams, you play these games regularly, right? That's fine. But Stuttgart was a perfect chance to rest him for the two games, especially the away leg. Stay at home, take it out of his hands. Sometimes you get, as a player, you get the fear of missing out. You think, I want to play, I want to keep myself moving, I want to play every game, stay sharp. Sometimes you need to take it out of your hands, stay fresh. Now he's got an overuse injury. Knowing Callum McGregor, I can't see that being, unless he gets a painkiller injection, I can't see that being a one-game injury. Really? I don't know, I've not heard anything, but for a semi-final at Ibrox, you think he would have been like, no, I'll play in this one, and then I'll rest or whatever, but he didn't, so that tells me he's going to be out for a couple of weeks, and that's a disaster for Celtic because he plays every minute, he controls the tempo of games. Hatate stepped in and done a good job yesterday. McCowan obviously played as a 6, he's not a 6, he's more of a 10 or a winger, or an 8 even. They've nobody there to replace because of bad recruitment. It's Celtic have got a great result yesterday, but I worry going forward. Will
Danny Rule still be in charge for next season? Alec, thank you so much for your call. Kevin Kyle is with us tonight, along with Charlie Mulgrew, me, Paul Cooney. Loads of your calls coming in. We're going to go to Kevin just after this break.
Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
Let's hear the two managers at full time. Kevin, we are coming to you in a second or two. This is Danny Rule, reaction afterwards and what happened at the end of the game. Rangers going out of the Cup, Celtic going through on penalties.
I'm honest, I was not on the pitch in this moment. I didn't see it until now. I heard just that was something on the pitch. If this is the case, I think we all know by all the emotional situation after a game. Nobody likes to see this. I think it was a great atmosphere, 120 minutes, and I think this should be like this. All the other things should be not in the stadium or around football.
Martin O'Neill spoke afterwards and he was asked, was it overshadowed then? Is it going to be overshadowed by what happened in the aftermath?
I think that would be a worry. For me, I've been, from a distance, I've been saying that the fixture itself is, although still a phenomenal fixture, there is no question about that. There had lost a bit of its lustre because the away fans, the full complement of away fans weren't allowed in. So I have no idea what might happen. So from that viewpoint, yes, because I think that I think today with the crowd, with our crowd there in, I thought it was really. To me, it was a proper old firm game, in that sense, and but we'll see what develops.
Kevin's on the line. Kevin, sorry to keep you for so long. Good evening.
How you doing, boys? You all right?
How you doing, Kev?
Good, thanks. Good to have Kevin Kyle with us. I forgot how tall he is. Even bigger than Charlie. Yeah.
The big open goal legend. Nice to see you, Kev.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for that.
Kevin.
Obviously watched the game yesterday. From a Celtic point of view, we weren't in the end of the game. I actually laid in the couch, put a wee cover in myself and just kept on shutting my eyes. And every time I opened them up, Rangers were in our 18-yard box. But listen, I think it is what it is. Listen, this Celtic team's on its knees. And then before the game, we lost Kieran Tierney and Callum McGregor. So you're thinking there's some good players in the team, but obviously there's no one for them. So you're thinking we're up against it. So, but I'll tell you something. As a Celtic fan, I would rather have won that game the way we won it yesterday than won it 6-0, because
Really?
it's more satisfying. Because see if that Rangers team that spent 45 million can't beat a Celtic team that's on his absolute knees with half a first team missing, and then before kick-off have to take out Tierney and McGregor. What are they got to do? What are they got to do if the board wake up in the summer and actually inject cash into the squad? It's absolutely glorious that we won that. I can't believe we won that game. And it's not as if Rangers battered their goal, but in terms of possession and in terms of being in our final third, Rangers were all errors, and they still can't get it done. They're new. Danny Rowe's probably regretting his wee comments about this is why managers should shut their mouth. He's obviously responded to Luke McCowan and then came out with who's above who in the league. Well, that didn't last very long, did it? Because now they're chasing us. But I've got to, in saying that, I don't know what Charlie thinks, I'm actually a wee bit nervous as to whether or not we're going to finish second, because I don't think we'll win the league. I think it's Hearts to lose. And I'm nervous about finishing second because I don't know how long McGregor's got to be out. You don't want to see any team's a one-man team, but McGregor leaves a massive chasm in that midfield when he's not in.
All right, Charlie. Jack, you must be nervous as well, having said that Hearts weren't going to win it.
McGregor's the one player I've been saying for months that he should be rested. He should be rested in
right,
Stuttgart game, the home game. I don't care. He should have been rested for that as well. That's what I can understand. Martin O'Neill reliance on him so heavily, but there was literally nobody to replace him. McCowan tried yesterday. It's not his position. Hatate showed a bit of fight yesterday, what I liked, but still nobody's going to replace Callum McGregor in terms of taking the tempo, giving angles to get in possession. There's a reason why teams try and shut Callum McGregor down by putting a man on him. Stuttgart even done it for spells in the first leg. So not only the possession side of things, out of possession when Celtic are in the final third, attacking, Callum McGregor is not your conventional holding midfielder that will go about and smash everybody like Wanyama or Brown, but he makes interceptions. He's in the right area. He organises the kind of lock-in to keep teams in there. And he's a huge character in the change room. So I don't know how Celtic, Motherwell game coming up, Celtic are going to dominate the ball against Motherwell, which will be, I don't know how that game's going to go. It's going to be a real difficult game because Motherwell are going to have possession at Celtic Park. And Celtic fans, like yesterday, the game, I said off air there, Celtic are almost massive underdogs yesterday when you see their teams. So they're almost allowed to sit and defend their box because the fans are going, well, we're away from home, we're at Ibrox, the onus is on Rangers to take it to Celtic. You can play in the counter-attack. You then win in penalties. So you're allowed that. You can't go and play against Motherwell at Celtic Park and sit in the edge of your box. The fans just won't allow it. It's just not the Celtic way to go about things. So I don't know how Celtic control games without Callum McGregor. There's literally nobody there to replace him.
Kevin?
I don't think that will happen with Celtic Park, Charlie, mate.
Well,
I think on the bigger pitch, I think we'll be all right.
Okay, Kevin?
But then, Kev, see on you're saying they're a bigger pitch, right? Played at Fir Park, played at Celtic Park. So obviously, there is a slight difference in size of parts, but would a bigger pitch not suit the possession-based Motherwell that pop the ball about all over the place as well?
You're probably right, Kev, but Celtic in possession, but let's not get it twisted. Celtic will probably still have majority of the ball. The problem is for the first time ever in my lifetime anyway, you're going to see a Motherwell team that they might have less of the ball, but in my opinion they have more quality with the ball. In my opinion, because I think they're the best footballing team in the country. Yeah. So that's what Celtic fans will probably not be prepared for. They'll probably not be prepared for, or although they should be, they'll not be happy with Motherwell probably having the majority of the decent attacks, I would say. Motherwell probably being in our final third a lot more than we were used to.
I think the important part for Celtic now moving forward for these next 9 games is they've had a makeshift back four for the last God knows how many games, right? But yesterday you had 4 boys there that played, and obviously Dane Murray come on as a sub at one point, and to a man, every single one of them put in a performance that merited them getting a 0-0 over 120 minutes to give them that opportunity to win on penalties. Going from now forward, those back 4 or 5 guys, whatever 4 he picks from that 5, they're going to have to be resilient and they're going to have to defend very well, because if you're looking at, I think Celtic in the top 3 has probably conceded the most goals out of the top 3. Celtic's going to need clean sheets and maybe try and nick goals for corner set pieces if they don't have the dominant possession that they normally have. I know you're hoping come Saturday that they will have large parts of possession, but I'm not convinced that team that played on Sunday against Rangers is going to have a lot of possession. I would like to believe that they could, if the manager can come up with a system or put. I think Atati was amazing on Sunday. I thought he's slowly getting back to the kind of player that turns up. Bernardo came on only for a short period of time, but Bernardo looked hungry. He looked like he wanted to get involved. Maybe it's time for him to shine. Maybe take Luke McCown out of there. So there might be a wee tweak or two that might just give Celtic an edge on Saturday. And I think if Celtic can get a result at home against Muller on Saturday, then the confidence to actually believe that they could go on and potentially trouble Hearts would be massive.
On your point about defence, Martin O'Neill spoke about why he chose Scales at left back rather than Sarachi.
Yes, Sarachi was available, but we thought we'll start with Scalesy at left back. And the very natural concern is from set pieces, things like that. There, Scalesy has played left back and done it admirably, but it was really for that there. We just needed a little bit more height for the set pieces, and it turned out that that's exactly what was needed.
Charlie?
Yeah, well, based on what Martin O'Neill said there, that was a big thing for me. Why Vinchara, I would have had him playing in the Celtic Rangers games because of what he brings at set pieces. When you've only got 2 centre backs like Scales and Trusty in the first game, you're just worried a wee bit about who's going to defend set pieces. Yesterday having that extra body really helped. But anyway, going back to Cal McGregor, he played in the first game at Celtic Park. Cal McGregor played in the game, and I'm sure Motherwell had more possession. They did. If they didn't, it was very tight. But I think they did. So possession doesn't win you games. We know that. I think the Celtic squad should maybe us as fans should accept that Celtic aren't going to be brilliant without Cal McGregor on the team, and they might need to suffer out of possession sometimes, but if they defend like they defend yesterday, they'll be fine in terms of keeping clean sheets and getting goals when the chances come.
It's a different experience for the Celtic fans.
Maybe just accepting the fact we are where we are. In fact, I would go 4-4-2. That's how I would play it. I'd go 4-4-2. I would get 2 strikers up there.
You're all in unison. Kevin, thank you. Thanks so much, Kevin.
Cheers, Kev.
0808 17 17 700. Laurie is standing by. The news is next. Kevin's here, so too is Charlie. Back in a moment.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 17 17 700. Talking Scottish football first.
What a weekend, but good news for Scotland and their rugby. Charlie, you and I weren't there, but Kevin, just seconds ago during the news, you were there at Murrayfield. What a win against France. And who were you sitting next to?
Oh, I was sat beside the famous Johnny Davidson.
Wow.
From the
I Swear.
I Swear. I was...
Twinnies and Cowpat.
Yeah.
Wow. That's up there with probably one of the life's greatest experiences.
It must have been.
Obviously, I can't repeat some of the things that you had to let go.
Yeah.
But I was saying a good conversation.
Can you give us a clue? Any area? No, we'll come back to that because Laurie's been on for ages. Look, we are going to talk about Falkirk beating Dundee United 2-1. What about the Pars? Dunfermline, the Championship, beating the Dons 3-0. And St Mirren 2-1 against Partick Thistle. But it's mainly been about Rangers and Celtic 0-0 after 120 minutes. And then the penalties, Celtic winning 4-2, and then the mayhem afterwards. Laurie, long-time Celtic fan, is on the line. Thank you for holding on, Laurie. Good evening.
Good evening, Paul. Good evening, Charlie. Good evening, Kevin.
Hi, Laurie. How are you doing, mate?
I'm doing fine. Firstly, Paul, I would like to say that the Blessed Martin, I think, has now surpassed Harry Houdini's feats as the greatest escapologist in history. Once again, just absolutely amazing. That guy, gets us across the line. Yesterday, against all the odds, I mean, we never registered a single shot in goal.
Yep.
Our penalty box was under constant siege. It was something that the Alamo had a little big on. The difference being Martin survived, or Davy Crockett and General Custer didn't.
Laurie, I need to. Were you there? at the Alamo?
No, I wasn't there. I wasn't there, Paul, because I couldn't get my hands on a ticket. I watched it on the telly. You know, it was a very satisfying result. You know, I thought that Sanasalo and the four central defenders were a colossal. Trusty, Arthur, Murray, and Scales at various points through the game, and I think Rio Hatate has returned to form. Which was fantastic, you know. But I think that the main thing that struck me the last two weekends in these games, Paul, is that Martin knows when to make timely substitutions, and they're always very effective. To me, Danny Roll, I think that he's a naturally cautious guy. And you've heard the expression, of course, that fortune favours the brave.
Yeah.
Well, Martin will go for it. Danny Roll, I think, is a wee bit more kind of resigned as to what he wants to do. And I think ultimately that's why we get two results in successive weekends. The panel starts.
Kevin, what would you say about Danny Roll being maybe too cautious?
Aye, there was a part of the game yesterday that I found that in the latter stages, I think James Tavernier came on late in the game. I think it was just the beginning of the injury time, the added on time. And I think he whipped in a couple of early balls straight away, and Rangers got, I think, one of their best opportunities of the game from Charmiti, who probably should have hit the target at least, and then another one where a header was missed. Maybe he kept some players on that part too long, and maybe didn't. And if you look at the substitution in Bajrami, I mean, how many minutes has Bajrami played for any Rangers manager? Where's he came from that he's ended up on the park yesterday? Scove Olsen keeps getting a start, but he's doing nothing for the team. Doesn't he go by anybody? Doesn't he put enough balls in the box? So for me, you've got to question that it was very evident from the very early parts of that game that Rangers were dominant. Celtic were playing one up front, so did Rangers really need four across the back? Could they have pushed one into midfield? Could they push another player into the 10 position? Could they've got more wingers on that possibly could have put in better balls at the box? I always believe as an old-fashioned centre forward, you make teams defend. I don't think Rangers put enough quality at the box, and that for me is on the manager, because I think it was very identifiable. I think that every corner that Rangers had, every free kick they had, they sent Big Fernandes is an unbelievable threat in the air. Right, like the Celtic defence, Scales, Trusty, Arthur, even Dane Murray, when he would see him coming up, we're like, right, who's picking him up? How do we stop him? Because he's got a great leap, he's aggressive, he's physical, and he was probably unlucky not to score.
Charlie?
Yeah, I think that Danny Roll is naturally cautious. I think you're bang on with that, Laurie. I think wherever he's been manager, which is Sheffield Wednesday, and his early spell at Rangers, his best stuff's off the ball. You can see that with Rangers, the way they're shaped, the way they press, and the way they've defended since he's came in. Although they've conceded chances, I think they would have conceded a lot more chances if he wasn't the manager. So naturally, that's his best attribute. I think he lacks and it shows blatantly when he makes his subs. I don't think they are attacking. I think we've seen it in the last game. He brings Diamandi on and takes a striker off, and you're thinking it's negative for me. He's trying to hold on. He tried it at Motherwell. He tried to hold on to a win and lost. End up drawing the game 1 each.
Should you have kept Mikey Moore on all the way?
Mikey Moore's another one. I don't know why you would. If you're looking for a goal, I don't know why you would take him off the.
Because he's a threat to the Celtic defenders.
If anything, you would add a striker on and keep him on the pitch. He's a big. So you're right with that. That could be Danny Roll needs to learn for that. He's a young manager, and I don't know if he needs to learn from it. Or I don't know if his natural instincts will just come out and he'll always be that type of manager.
I was going to say, can you learn? Or is it just a natural instinct?
Just be a natural
killer instinct, Kevin.
Yeah.
Listen, the Mikey Moore situation I found was a bit strange because every time he kind of got on the ball, you thought that something was going to happen. So obviously he got tired in the latter part of the game, and that's probably why he got brought off, because he became ineffective. Could Rangers have maybe changed the shape a bit that allowed Mikey Moore not to be chasing back? Could he just have sat in a hole and picked up and I think if that had been the case, he would have caused Celtic no end of problems, because you saw it in the first half when he glided through 3 or 4 of them and ended up passing the ball to Charmiti that ended up getting the shot where Trusty allegedly handballed it, which he didn't. He handballed it, but his hand was within the parameters of his body. But
that's where you shout him over, innit? If I'm Danny Rowe, I shout him over and I say, listen, don't track back. Stay on the left wing. We don't need you back there. You save your energy. All you need is one moment of magic. And I think that's... But as far as Martin O'Neill, though, I think, again, Laurie, absolutely bang on. Martin O'Neill, it's no coincidence Celtic grind out results. It's the same as Danny Rowe's instincts come onto his team and they become a wee bit defensive at times, and the subs he makes reflects that. Martin O'Neill goes the other way in terms of he goes, puts wingers on. I know he puts them Vic on, he doesn't do much, but the intent's there. He's not putting on defensive-minded players. He's still putting like for like on, and I think Sean Maloney's got a part to play in that as well. He's obviously got a say in substitutions.
Wanted to hear a bit more from Martin O'Neill about the reaction afterwards and what he saw and what he heard.
As we were making our way back, I think there was some sort of fracas. Somebody tried to get on the field, and I think I don't know. All I saw was there was a bit of a scrum down at the bottom, and as you say, it's maybe it does taint proceedings, but I think there's an element of self-protection in that one, So if that's the case, please, I'm making judgments here on things that I only half saw. So, but from my viewpoint, it was a great win for us. We're under pressure during the course of the game, as you would expect. Rangers are very strong. They've had the full week to go at it. We've had to travel to Aberdeen, our fourth away game in 10 days. Just a fantastic effort by the players. Really, really fantastic.
Laurie, thank you for your call. Loads coming in. Stevie's on from Craigend. Hi, Stevie. Good evening.
Evening, guys. How are we doing?
Yeah, good. How are you? What do you make of it all yesterday?
Welcome back to 1980, lads.
Yeah.
There was your chance to show them.
Yep.
Look, we're all grown up. We're all civilised people, and if you want to obviously have a pint, at the game, then you can. And obviously, the spectacle that Celtic versus Rangers with a full Celtic support, and then the lunatics overtook the asylum, man.
Yep.
So I'm going to obviously, if anybody for Police Scotland is listening, this is an idea to stop this madness. All right, for both of them. When you've got them, you've got their name, their address. Go and lift their parents, because I can guarantee if they're homeless because their man dad can't pay their mortgage and lost their house because of their idiotic behaviour, I think it will change the way that they go to the game, if they even go to the game. It's absolutely ridiculous. We've been running battles in the streets of Glasgow, and now we've got running battles live in front of the world.
Yep.
There's enough going on in the world. So there is, you know what I mean? And you sit and say one of the biggest games, 50 years as a Celtic supporter, Paul, Charlie, watched you yesterday with Scotty Arfield and that Michael Stewart. Mm-hmm. Good build-up, great.
Yeah.
Looking forward to the game. Obviously the game started, Celtic, you know what I mean, the one that didn't play the best, but we got through it, and then madness, absolute madness.
Yeah.
I think it was said there was 5 stewards, get punched. You know what I mean? You shouldn't have got your work and get assaulted.
Absolutely.
You should.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's absolutely crazy. So to me, this is a deterrent. Go and lift their parents. So if they're at the game and you can see them, and we can do so much now with technology, Paul.
Yeah, but Stevie, listen, as you know, to be fair to the police, they're not allowed to. So the way it is in Scotland now, there's no consequence for the young people. If they're under 16, there is no consequence. It's happening in the schools. There's mayhem in too many of our schools. We need a reality check in government, local government, national government. They're living in cloud cuckoo land because there's no consequence for the young people. They're dissatisfied with lots of things since COVID. I know we could go on, it could become the political programme, but there's common sense is missing. And you're right, it's amazing. Some of the songs are wrong and all the rest of it. We know it. But, what an atmosphere it was pre-match. I watched you, Charlie, there. Kevin did as well. It's what we want. But they're now saying, there shouldn't be Celtic fans at Ibrox and there shouldn't be Rangers fans. No, they should be policing it properly, steering it properly, and the clubs should be speaking to each other. Shame on the clubs years ago when they stopped allowing fans in from the opposition. The police are not used to handling this now as well, and I can't imagine how they do it. It must be difficult. But they used to be able to do it really well. Not in 1980. I do remember it. That was a shambles. It was much worse. It went right around the world. But some of this has been brought on by authorities and the clubs not speaking to each other. There's a lot of good people at the clubs. They need to sit down and try and sort this out. But there is an issue with young people. You know, you work with young people. You're trying to take them off the streets, Kevin, and play football. There's not enough things for the younger ones to do.
Oh, listen, I take a kids football team, the 11, 12-year-old kids, right, and you're scared to actually get them into trouble because the fear of how they react to you.
Really?
Because they've probably never been told no in their life.
Yeah.
It's a society problem. It's parenting. Sure. It's everything that happens with, you're talking about education. My wife's a teacher. I could tell you stories that you would not believe, but the reality is every problem that kids have going to school, it comes from the home. So the home needs to be sorted first. What's happening here between Celtic and Rangers is daft young boys thinking they're tickets. The reality is if they were to square up to one of these men or whatever it is, grown men in a street face to face, they would run a mile. Sure. That's the reality, but they're putting their masks on, and obviously Stevie's saying there about the deterrents and stuff. But if you look at some of the images that have been passed about the papers and the newspaper and on social media and stuff, there's grown men on the park.
Yeah, that's right.
Grown men trying to kick footballers. Come on. So there's an example. What's his kid going to do? Oh, there's my dad in the paper the day trying to boot a Rojo. I'll just do that tomorrow as well at school.
Sure.
It's madness. So how do we change it? But you say government to get the... I don't think there is an answer, but we all have an idea of what we would like to do.
No, I think you're bang on, Kevin, in terms of, I think it comes down to leading by example as a parent, and sort of, there's no better way than teaching than living it. So, if your dad's at the game running on the pitch and causing disruptions, then you're just going to follow as a child. So, it starts with the parent, and again, it's the minority. So, we're talking about the minority there. We shouldn't let them ruin what was a good spectacle yesterday.
All right, Kevin, thank you for your call. There's so many coming in. Thank you, Stevie. Gary's on from the Gorbals. Hi, Gary. Good evening.
Evening, lads. How you doing?
Gary.
Yes, well, it's wide-ranging, isn't it? It's just such a shame, isn't it, that that's what people are talking about, and quite rightly. But what's your take on everything?
Yeah, I mean, so much to pick the bones out of from yesterday. Obviously, the quality of the game was zero from kind of both sets of players, but in terms of excitement, in terms of, you know, from the minute the players walked out to a massive serenade of Simply the Best and Penny Arcade, which was really surreal. I could actually hear Emma Dodds almost kind of giggling in TV coverage. I don't know if Charlie had that.
But can you reveal?
I didn't hear it. I didn't see it.
Emma's one of the best in the business, isn't she?
I did love that moment, though. That was
she knows singing instead of laughing.
Emma, with her, she's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, exactly. There's a bit of some of that is quite funny, isn't it? Kevin, does that worry you?
No, I like so that there for me is banter. Yeah, that's banter at a football ground, and that's so the tone's been set good early doors. How it's ended up, the way it's ended up is just. I think there's a blame part on both sets of fans and a blame part on the policing and the stewarding of how
there was one Rangers fan that watched me the whole game. Turned round and looked into the box. Me, Mikey Stewart, mainly Mikey Stewart, I'd say, but he had a lot of pops at me as well. And I think hand gestures were getting made for the full 90 odd minutes. The full
240. Happy 40th? No,
honestly, no. And he was. I thought he must have watched about maximum 5 minutes of the game. No joke. And then when Fernandes scored the goal, he's like, right up, this got him going. He started all sorts of hand gestures, shouting stuff, calling us all sorts. And then we seen in the TVs that the goal was disallowed. Yeah. Rangers fans then realised he was only fan in the stadium that never realised because he was facing us. And his pal eventually tapped him on the shoulder and told him, whispered in his ear, listen, mate, the goal's been chopped off. And then he just turned round and that quietened him. But that's what it is.
And was that a grown man?
Yeah, no, it was a boy. But listen, I don't mind that. It's banter, it's fine, but it's all part of it.
But watch the game as well.
Watch the game, I don't know what he was doing there. He wasted. It was a wasted ticket.
Gary, football-wise, Jens Bertel Askew got his first defeat in a long time, but is he going to be the Celtic manager for next season? Different names being mentioned, of course, Stevie Clark, Martinez as well. I can't see that happening. I can't see Celtic paying the Hollywood money for him. And would you want him? What about Jens Bertel Askew?
Yeah, I think I said last week or a couple of weeks ago, I don't know if it's a case of being maybe too soon in the Scottish game kind of thing. I know he's had a brilliant season with Motherwell and they very well might end up finishing third, but for me, I just think it's maybe too soon, because obviously it's a bit similar to the Crystal Palace situation, in my opinion, where Oliver Glasner came in down there and done really well, but the core of the team has been ripped out, and then Oliver Glasner's maybe leaving at the end of the season. So I can see similar kind of circumstances with Motherwell. Whether they can keep the core of their team that's done well. Like Said, like Just, like Maswinisi and players like that. I think.
Do you trust Celtic? Do you trust Celtic to get it right for next season? Because Martin O'Neill, well, what would you want to say about Martin that hasn't been said already? But he seems to be holding the whole club together. Yeah, and as I say, I know there's a lot of calls for him to stay on in some capacity, and I would totally back that. I think if we go on, I'm hoping now that with the result yesterday that it's going to give the players a lift and a boost, and hopefully we're going to somehow manage to kick on and push Hearts all the way to title. I still don't think we'll win it, but for me, I think if Martin O'Neill ends up with silverware at the end of the season, whether it be the Scottish Cup, I think ask him where he wants the statue, because the guy has done, for him and Sean Maloney and Mark Fotheringham, not to discredit them, they've all done fantastically well coming in, because they've came in, they've came out, they're back in. It's a bit like pass the parcel, and Celtic have to get it right. But like as I say, whether they get it right or not, because obviously the Green Brigade, whether the meetings were planned for this week, that's going to be up in the air now, because I don't see them getting back in after yesterday, to be honest. Yeah, well, Martin O'Neill obviously has came to the rescue twice this year. Then had the window short notice to try and get players in. Listen, I'm not saying it was a successful window, but he's still managing to juggle the squad and get the best out of the squad. Substitutions, Tenekte starts some weeks and then comes on as a sub and affects the game. So, but then plays the next week and does nothing. So he's juggling the squad to the best of his ability. He's getting the best out of what he's got. Squad's no great, a lot of injuries. If Martin O'Neill produces some form of silverware, I mean, the league, it's Hearts to lose now, but if Martin O'Neill can get the Scottish Cup and challenge for the league and maybe nick it, it's been a number, and Sean Maloney deserves huge credit. Saw him during the team talk yesterday before penalties, saying his bit. He's played a huge part in this as well. That did look, a lot of Celtic fans said that was quite a moment. Kevin, from Rangers' point of view, they must be thinking the worst Celtic team in a long time, and yet they could win the Scottish Cup. They may well be favourites for it, and they could still win the league. Aye, for me, I think a lot of people are convinced that Hearts, having played with Hearts and got a massive soft spot for them, it's theirs to lose. Absolutely 100% correct. But see, when you actually break down the fixtures that are left, right, and then chuck the split in, Hearts have got to play, what they've got to play, Rangers, Celtic, Motherwell twice, would that be right? I think that's right, I've got them here. Motherwell twice, and then your greatest rivals in Hibs, who, all credit to Jim, David Gray, they've started picking up results. And if you look at, see if you actually go into the season, every club will be the same in that top five. But if you look at some of the results where Hibs have drew, where they've been leading and lost or lost the last minute, they also could have been in the mix. So they're not going to give up a fight, because they might have that idea, we might just sneak in. If everybody starts beating everybody, we might sneak in and get a European spot. So they're no. So Hearts have 9 games, the same as Celtic and Rangers. They're not going to be easy. It's true. And the thing, they're like Saturday night, I was invited down to that, but I've had to change the plans. But Kilmarnock are fighting for life down the bottom of the league, trying to avoid that playoff spot. So Neil McCann, former Hearts player. I know. Derek McInnes, former Kelly manager. So you don't know. Like Kilmarnock are fighting for life. Once if Hearts go down there, get a draw, Celtic beat Motherwell at home, you get to the Saturday night and it's 3 points of difference. Rangers win their game on the Sunday, they're only 4 points behind. There's so much to play for. There is, and I've said this for a lot of the season. But right now, the reason I've changed it is because I'm trying to pile the pressure on Hearts. Exactly. So you're trying to be cute. To lose. I know, you're under massive pressure. I'm trying to put all the balls in the court. It's up to them to lose. If they don't win, they've blew it. You're right. Hearts have got Killie away, then Dundee, Livy and Motherwell. So if Hearts win all their games up to the split, which is a big if, they can see the finish line, can't they? 5 games to go, but they've still got games to... The good thing they've got is they've got Neil McCann, manager Kilmarnock, when they play them. They've got Elvis Presley, manager Dundee, when they play them. But then look at Dundee's result versus Motherwell. Surely they're in good form when they come to play Hearts. So for me, they're so... But the one probably good thing that Hearts are going to find is they're going to get 2 of their best players back soon.
I think Devlin and Shanklin are due back either next week or the week after.
I'll tell you what though, McInnes is looking very emotional.
Yeah. You've seen that for the last few weeks, haven't you?
He's barging people in the back. He's antagonising other fans.
Putting on the pressure.
I don't know if that can maybe go to the players.
You got a suspicious mind. Elvis Presley. Stephen Presley doing all right up there, isn't he? You won't know that one. Do you know that one? Yeah.
I do know that one. I'm not a fan of Elvis.
Are you not?
No.
Caught in a trap?
I don't like him. No, I'm not a fan.
Okay.
Superb.
All right. Yeah,
Big
you love
Presley's
him.
all right though, but
Okay.
actual Elvis, isn't he?
Well, I'm sure the Elvis Presley estate will be gutted that Go Radio's Charlie Mulgrew had that to say. Gary, thanks so much for your call. Loads coming in. We're back after this.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
It's been some weekend. We're going back on the lines in just a second or two. And in a moment, we will talk about the other 3 quarter-finals. The semi-final draw was made last night after the game. But Ross is on, a Celtic fan. Hi, Ross. Good evening.
Hi, Paul, Charlie.
Hi, Ross.
Kyle. Hope you
How you
guys
doing,
are
Ross?
doing all right.
Ross the ref, innit?
Good to see Big Kevin. Ross the ref,
Charlie,
exactly.
that's the one.
He's a ref.
I recognise that voice.
Kevin,
they're
so
no my biggest fans right now because I'm struggling with the referees.
How are they drawing the lines, Ross? Any idea?
Ross, what do you make of it? I was going to say that actually, you know, we talked about referees and VAR and all the rest of it. There wasn't really any controversy yesterday, was there?
No, I think the only one that kind of sprung to mind was the handball that potentially, but again, when you look at it in second view, my first thought, I don't know about you, Charlie, my heart was in my mouth. I was like, oh, here we go.
Having it struck trusty.
I think if there'd been no VAR, the ref might have given that, gone by the reaction, and it looked to me that it hit his other hand, so the ref might have given that. That shows maybe a positive light on VAR, that you can go back and get the decisions right, because would you think, Ross, if it hit his other hand, do you think it was a penalty?
First viewing, I thought it's going to be a penalty, and then when you see the replay, his hand's tucked into his body. But you're right. I think if Don Robertson gives that, I don't know if VAR's not there, then I think it's one of the ones. But I thought in terms of the game yesterday, I thought Don Robertson done well, and I thought in terms of the cautions. Don't get me wrong, I think a few of them maybe came out early doors a bit too quick with a card, and he set a tempo, and it's one of these situations. But I think in terms of the refereeing situation, I thought he done really well yesterday.
Yeah, he did. He did. He was early with the booking on Diamandi.
Right away, wasn't it? 2 minutes.
The tone a wee bit, but no, I thought he'd done well.
You were still singing "Simply the Best" at that point, weren't you? Just about.
It was brilliant.
Yeah. So, where do you want to take it now? The aftermath or the game itself, Ross? What did you feel? Listen, what about the aftermath? What do you feel about it all?
I just think, Paul, in terms of the game yesterday, the aftermath is obviously occurred, and I'm not condoning it at all. No. But I think the Celtic fans were just in jubilee. I think we were just so surprised that we managed to scrape by and get through in penalties, and I think the emotion just gets on top of you. And I think one or two Celtic fans maybe get onto the pitch. I don't condone that for a minute, and I think in that situation it's just obviously spurred and more people have come on, and it's just kind of kicked off. But I just hope, as I say, I really enjoyed the game yesterday with the whole allocation, and I thought it brought that atmosphere back again. And it saddens me that we're going to maybe get back down that route again now, where we're going to have potential bans and fans not allowed to go to these games. And I just think yesterday it spoiled it. But as I say, Paul, I'm not here to condone anything. I think both are as bad as each other, and I think the Celtic fans, obviously, as I say, were in full voice yesterday. And I don't know about you, Charlie, but I just enjoyed the fact that there was no mention about sack the board yesterday. No mention about all this negativity. We were all united yesterday, and then when that penalty goes in at the last minute, the jubilee where the fans are all celebrating with the players, and the players are excited and happy, and it just brought that moment back where you think, you know, all that negativity about sack the board and this, that, and everything, it puts things into perspective where Martin O'Neill's taking us into a semi-final. And
well, I think, Ross, there's no coincidence you see the intensity for the players on the pitch when they feel that for the side, and I know it works both ways. The players need to give the fans something to sing about, the fans then get behind that, and it just comes together. I mean, Celtic, I know Laurie came on earlier and said there wasn't one shot on target, so there was either one or there was none, yet they went and won that game at Ibrox without Callum McGregor or Kieran Tierney. It just shows what's possible when everybody's united and the atmosphere's there, and you can come through some of the hardest games.
After the mayhem on the pitch, though, I see Bill Leckie in the Sun this morning in his column, and I heard him in TalkSport as well, on with Jim White, and he was saying never again, doesn't think there should be away fans at all at the Old Firm game. Kevin?
I think that would be a shame for me, Paul,
Yeah.
because it's a minority, like we said, so I don't think everybody should be punished. I don't think so. I think that's unfair. I think we spoke about wanting the fans back and how much it adds to the atmosphere and why it's such a big derby. We heard Martin O'Neill saying it's not the same when the fans are there, and I think we can all agree with that. Rangers fans should be allowed in Celtic Park. Celtic fans should be allowed in Ibrox. There should be a way of finding the minority and punishing them, but not the majority.
The thing is with the Celtic fans going to Parkhead and vice versa for Rangers fans, the Celtic fans going to Ibrox and Rangers fans going to Parkhead, they're in that ground 2.5 hours before kick-off. So why don't they take that time to make sure that everybody that's in there has got the right ticket, the right scanned in properly, and you know who everybody is? That gives you a starting point. If any trouble breaks out, you've got a. But obviously, the videos show yesterday people bulging through turnstiles into the game that didn't have tickets. So there's obviously more fans in there yesterday. Maybe not huge amounts, but there's more fans in there that needed to be yesterday. Those extra 10, 15 kids that maybe ran through the turnstile, that might be the 10, 15 kids that wanted to get on the park. So obviously Bill Leckie, referring to his headline, fan ban is only fixed after yesterday. Bill's wrote a headline and now we're talking about it. That's the reason. Let's not talk about it. Bill's...
Well, he wouldn't write the headline, but he was talking about it today. We've given fodder to so many people, maybe in authorities, who'll say, right, the football fans again, now you can't trust them, and watch for some action. I think this will happen, and it's such a shame.
I think we need to look at the context as well. I said at the start of the show, it's a quarter final. Both teams know that it's probably the final because of the rest of the teams that are left in the cup. Hearts are obviously top of the league, so both teams know that it could be the only chance of silverware. It goes to penalties. When's the last quarter final we saw at Ibrox or Celtic Park? The fans are back in the stadium. Everything pointed towards something maybe spilling over.
Yeah.
Don't condone any of it, but it is the minority.
Yeah. Stay.
Charlie, I was going to ask you quickly, what do you think the chances are then that we get by St Mirren in the semi and then we meet Neil Lennon in the final, Scottish Cup final, Martin Neil against Lennon?
That would be really good. I mean, Neil Lennon, I was with him yesterday and he was absolutely over the moon at how his team had performed against Aberdeen. I think he would he's brilliant at that sort of underdog mentality type of manager. He shot with us in the Champions League against Barcelona and against getting to the last 16. He's brilliant at convincing you that you can do well against these bigger sort of teams and better teams than you. So yeah, I was no surprised that he got the result and he was ecstatic about it.
Mind you, what about Falkirk? And Ross, stay with us. There's Barney Stewart scoring again. A Scottish striker, and you look at Celtic, they don't have a striker.
Well, Falkirk had 9 Scottish players.
Yeah.
In their squad or in their team. Celtic and Rangers, but there was one Scottish player that started that on that pitch yesterday.
Luke McCown. Isn't that awful?
John McGlynn deserves a lot of credit for what he's doing there. He said players that have been there since League One. He's got a style of play, gets the best out of the players he's got. While Calvin Miller wasn't in the Celtic squad yesterday, when you've got Mvuka coming on and playing.
Who is Mvuka? I mean, does anyone know?
No, it looks like he can't kick the ball properly for me.
Because you revealed on here. So it was going to be Calvin Miller was going to Celtic wanted him.
Yeah, Celtic wanted
in January.
him, contacted him. So he should be in that squad and he should be there. I just feel the whole season, we've spoken about it before, there's been ignorance towards Scottish signings, and that's the latest one.
Kevin, it would make you groan, wouldn't it? And you work with young players. It's such a shame. One Scottish player on the pitch at the start.
It's always been the way.
It wasn't always.
No, it's not say always, but even if you look at the likes of, say, Aberdeen and D-United, they're loaded with foreigners, but they're not coming from great clubs of great pedigree. Whereas in our league, we are not willing to take a chance on players who play well against the main teams every week. You would think they would be best placed to be better in the Premier League. So you take like Luke McCown come to Celtic, then the boy Conor Barron going to Rangers from Aberdeen, Lyle Cameron going to, and then obviously like Calvin Miller. For me, Calvin Miller's had a great season. Obviously I think he was at Celtic as a kid, would that be right?
That's right.
He was,
yes.
He left, went down south, got his career going, back up here, doing well. He would have gave you more than Was his name Mvuka?
Yeah, sure.
He looked like he couldn't even kick a ball.
Exactly. So they're paying huge money for him. What about Giovanni McGlynn? Maybe he should change his name and then he would be revered.
Well, you
know?
mentioned Aberdeen there. John McGlynn's sitting above Aberdeen and Dundee United with a group of Scottish players that were maybe considered no good enough for Premiership teams a few years ago when they were playing League One and Championship. So it just shows you when you have a clear style and you're willing to give them a chance and show them trust. Any change room I was ever in, Paul, I've said it on here multiple times, the more Scottish players you had in it, as a rule of thumb, the better atmosphere there was in that changing room.
Yeah. And at your old club at Rangers, they often talk about, the tradition and knowing what it's about. But you said to me during the break, there's hardly any Scots there anyway. So does that mean anything anymore?
I remember when I signed with Hearts in 2010, 9-10, I can't remember, it was 2010. I remember turning up for the first day of training and we did boxes. So one group of box and another box. One box was just all the Eastern European boys for Lithuania, Russia and Latvia and all
the Romanov time.
The Romanov time. And the other box was just all the Scottish boys. And I was like, why are we saying? I said to the gaffer, I said, Jim, why have we got two different? He says, they'll no speak to them.
Right.
I said, so how do you expect to have a winning mentality of a team if you'll no speak? So I jumped into the foreign box. And Big Marius...
You speak Russian though anyway, don't you?
It's Stranraer, it's near enough.
It's Stranraer Russian accent. And I said to him, he says, what are you doing in here? I says, I'm joining in here.
Yeah.
And then we started winning games. Then we became a mix. And see, we became a mix. We became a good side.
Team. Yeah.
But in Scotland, imagine all those different nationalities. They've got to come here. They've got to settle. They've got to understand the culture. And then you look at Scotland. I'll refer to Scove Olsen and maybe the likes of Ant-Man and stuff. They've come over and maybe no adapted quickly, so they're under pressure straight away to perform, and they're not performing. But he's got good pedigree. We got him from Wolfsburg, but he was there a while. He settled in. He's just come to Rangers a month or two. What are you expecting?
Yeah,
it's not easy.
Ross, who's going to win the league? Before you answer that, here is Danny Rowe speaking yesterday. He was asked, how's he going to get Rangers winning again?
I think this is our job. That is how I will also take the energy, the positive things from the games. I think, again, we improved in the last 7 days again, how we want to play. From my side, I see a clear direction, how a Rangers team should be. And there's no question mark for me that we go again and again. And my belief, my positive energy is more than here. If you know me longer, I'm not the guy to go too much inside. I'm more the fighter to go again. And with this confidence, I'm the leader of the group. I will show them on during the week how good we are and what we can achieve. And 6 points in football goes quick. It could be 2 match days, and then we will speak in a different way. And we will try everything.
Kevin, what did you think there? He said he's learned.
Well, he says he's. What was it he said there? You'll see the type of person. While he sounds absolutely miserable as hell, but he's talking about getting 6 points. That's him expecting Hearts to drop. 6 points. So that's all right. Saying you'll get 6 points, but if Hearts get 6 points, it's still just going to be you're 6 points behind. I like the positivity from him, trying to encourage that he's going to keep going and they're going to succeed. But Celtic and Rangers are both in the same boat. They're relying on other teams to take points off of Hearts to give themselves a chance.
He must have sat in that dressing room yesterday afternoon thinking, I don't believe this.
He's saying, I like the way we're playing and the style. I'm not convinced I'm seeing a style. If their style is let's get the ball and turn it into the channels, I don't really see I don't see them doing the same thing over and over again. That's creating them the same type of opportunity that they're maybe missing. For me, there's a lot of hope in there. They're hoping this works, or hoping that ball gets to whoever it's supposed to get to.
And here's Martin O'Neill asked about the win yesterday, albeit on penalties at the end. Will this have any impact on the league campaign?
I genuinely do not know. Honestly, I don't know where there's going to be twists and turns. I went to Dundee yesterday with Sean and Mark Fotheringham, watched the game, and so we've got Motherwell next, which will not be easy for us. So I honestly don't know.
Motherwell losing for the first time in 2026. Ross, thanks so much for your call.
Cheers, Ross.
There's more after this.
Show with Burger King.
Great to have Kevin Kyle with us tonight, who of course had time at Sunderland. If we had more time, we'd talk about how they're doing. great part of the country. And of course, you scored a goal in the derby then. That's a huge derby as well against Newcastle, but it was chalked off, Kevin.
Yeah, it's probably one of the lowest points, highest and lowest points in my career on 1 minute. No, the ball came in last minute. They don't just chucking it out the box. Me and Tory Andrew flew up front.
Oh, yeah.
So we was about 25 foot of height in there. And Shea Given came out to punch it.
Yeah.
And he ran straight into Tory Andrew Flow, and I jumped up and headed it. It was never a foul. Boom. Never a foul. And I've wheeled away. 94th minute, and then they took the free kick, and that was it.
You'll get over it. It was only, 15 years ago or something?
Maybe about 25.
Yeah. 25 years ago, yeah.
Aye.
Shea Given, Tory Andrew Flow, Rangers £12 million signing, of course, from Chelsea down there. Let's go on the lines. James is on in Govan, Rangers fan. Hi, James. Good evening.
All right, how you doing?
Yeah, good. How are you, James? Where are you at the match?
No, I wasn't. No.
Okay.
No.
What are you thinking tonight?
I'm glad I wasn't.
Aye. Yep. Okay. What's your point?
The point I want to make, Paul, is I know the fans. I've got everything to do with what happened yesterday, but this 7,500 fan rule was laid down by the SFA because it's a Scottish Cup final, and they implemented that imminently. As soon as the draw was made, they implemented that imminently. Without any investigation, any kind of, nobody looked into it. And then Police Scotland get over £1 million a year after the Old Firm. And so they've got no right to say that they've no resources. We pay for their resources. So they should have been taking money off us if they can't send police to the games. Now, that doesn't take anything away from the stupidity that happened. Yeah. I get that. Right, but the blame has got to be shared by Police Scotland, taking their money and not putting enough resources into the game. 7.5. Paul, I was born in the 80s, brought up in the 80s. Yeah. I know the troubles. Yeah. Born in Stein and Govan all my days. Yeah. I know the troubles and I've witnessed the troubles. But there's absolutely no way any away fans should be allowed in at Rangers or Celtic. That's it. They should be barred. I've always said that. I've seen people lose their lives at these games. You see, at the end of the day, I don't care what people say about all the numbers, they want us the atmosphere. To hell with the atmosphere. Yeah. Get away and put a stop to it. Let us see our own guys at Ibrox. Let them see their own guys at Parkhead. End of. The police and the SFA need to take a share of this burden that they caused this.
Well, I mean, it's hard to argue against what you've seen over the years. It's such a pity. It's an indictment on society if we're going to say we can't have opposition fans here. But I guess it's all right saying it in a radio studio. But Kevin, Charlie, if you're there in the middle of this and you're being attacked...
Listen, again, when we repeat it, we don't condone any violence in the game.
Sure.
But with every sort of event, there's risks. So I don't want to... I've not seen what you've saw, James, and I take your word for what you've saw, but I still stand by my opinion. I think there should be fans allowed in the stadium. I think it makes for a better game. It makes for a better atmosphere. You don't want any violence, but violence comes anyway, whether there's fans or there isn't fans. It spills onto the city centre after things happen. That's the nature of this country and this city. But I think it's better when there's opposition fans in the stadium.
Even when Celtic had 7,500 yesterday, even when they've had the minimal allocation, is it 800 or something? They get crammed into that wee corner.
It was, and then went up to 2,000.
They're just sitting ducks.
Yeah,
and vice versa for Rangers fans. Yeah. The reality for me is that I think the spectacle is at its best with maximum numbers of fans. We need to figure out how we get that to happen in a safer, more controlled environment. So you're right in terms of the police and the money. Whatever happened yesterday, the police and the stewarding failed. Firstly, people getting out of the game before when they shouldn't have, and secondly, when that went to penalties, everybody knew the penalties could easily have been tossed a coin and done at the Celtic end. Do we then see Rangers fans celebrating on and Celtic going the opposite direction? We just don't know. But the reality is they should have had the stewards and the police lined up in front of the Celtic fans so that if anything did spill over, it was contained, it was dealt with, and that was the end of it. Because it's not just the fans that walked 110 yards from one goal to another. What about the fans at the side of the Celtic fans? They could easily just encroach.
That's right.
They chose not to, but it was the ones that, obviously from a certain group, decided, and then other people from other stands started to bowl at the park. So for me, I think I don't condone it. I'm not trying to put blame on the Police Scotland, but it could have been dealt with a wee bit better. I think.
From my point of view, sitting watching it, and the Rangers fans coming on, the one thing that made everybody scamper back to their seats, I couldn't work out what was happening until I actually looked, was the police horses with the riot gear.
Yeah.
So maybe going forward, it's a lesson learned that the riot gear and the police horses can be closer, or they're even just the police with the riot gear ready to go.
Well, you see it in European football, Charlie. You've been there, you too, Kevin.
Yeah.
I've been there covering them over the years. They're always there, and they're visible. And maybe they weren't visible enough. Yes, we shouldn't need them.
Well, it did scare.
Maybe they should have been there.
Like a swarm, a wasp.
The divisional commander, Emma Croft, I'm reading this in the record online. She's the divisional commander, hinted that the ugly scenes could spell the end for the traditional allocations. I've been saying that during the programme. There's a groundswell of opinion against it. As a football show here, it's great to. We should be able to.
Was this the reason why it was stopped in the first place? Because I was led to believe it was because Rangers decided they didn't want fans in Ibrox. Was that just a...
Well, nobody's going to say for sure, but that was basically it. It was Stephen Gerrard didn't want it. He said, why are we allowing the Celtic fans in, apparently? And Rangers said no.
There was no trouble, really?
There'd be trouble at different times. Nothing like 1980, where there was basically a riot. Both sets of fans came much worse than yesterday.
Factor in because it's not had the full allocation regularly for such a long period of time, that when the full allocation does arrive, everybody's desperate to be a part of it. Whereas when you've got it 4 games a season where twice they go to Parkhead, twice they go to Celtic, and they all get an opportunity to see one of those spectacles, there maybe isn't quite as much trouble because they know that 4 times over the year that they're going to get that opportunity. When it comes around once in a blue moon, it's
exactly, Kev, because I sat in there before as a Celtic fan. John Hartson scored, Celtic won 1-0, and it was a great experience to see the atmosphere, to feel the atmosphere, to watch the game, and I didn't see any trouble anywhere. So there is good instances.
I mentioned that earlier on. The fact that it's not happened for all these years, the officials are out of the way of managing it. The fans should not have been in the pitch. Absolutely not. The Celtic fans shouldn't have come over. Whoever did at their area, and then the Rangers fans that came from the other end, 120 yards, as you said, Kevin. Come on, just get away home. But it then became probably mainly the younger ones, not all of them, but mainly the younger ones who end up fighting. Remember, there was organised fights away from the ground.
Paul,
was it last season?
All it took was like some tried things, some didn't try things, whatever you want to believe in either side. But see if that went a full scale. Think of what potentially could have happened there. We've saw some things that happened after the game. But if those Rangers fans had kept going and Celtic fans decided to barge through the kind of barrier that was put up together and they met in the middle of the park and actually started going for each other, what are we talking about today?
Of course, much people.
Are we talking about a Hillsborough type thing? It's like the potential there. I get the reason they want to have fans, but we have to look at it and learn from it. We can't just decide, nah, that's it, they're done. Like. That's the
easy option.
That's the easy option, but the Scottish football relies heavily.
That's not the problem.
No,
James.
Sorry, guys. That's not the problem. The problem is, people say we need to learn for this. How daft do we need to be? This is the lesson. We cannot be trusted with each other. There's pure hatred. I was brought up in it. I've got that in me as well. But see, when that ignites, I can't control what I do. They can't control what they do, and it's awful. It's bad.
James, thank you. I hear you.
When you've got a couple of thousand supporters sitting in a wee corner, they're not going to react because they've not got the numbers. But you let 7,500 in, they feel strong. They've got the numbers. And let me educate you. Right, the reason why this happens is because the Celtic fans absolutely demolished the internal toilets in the Broomloan stand. So that's why they were banned for Ibrox. And then the tit for tat started. So listen, let's be honest with you. We cannot be trusted in numbers in each other's stadium.
James,
there's your lesson.
Okay, James, thank you so much for your call. I mean, it happened at both grounds, which is horrible. Both of them. But we should. James. Okay, thanks so much. Because we're nearly out of time. Martin O'Neill was asked about it. What did he? He's seen just about everything in the game. Was he frightened at full time afterwards?
I didn't think so, because if I'm on and I'm waving to our crowd, and we have actually won, it's a fairly decent chance I'm going to get off lightly in that one. If we had lost, I don't think I would have been. I think I might have been the first one down the tunnel. So not trying to play lightly of it, but it's, there is an excessive celebration if that's the case, and I would need to see the whole thing again.
Yeah, I think he was being asked, was he frightened about being out there? And I think he went out at that point not realising what it was. For Rangers, this is about the game itself. Danny Rowe was asked, you had so much possession, but you didn't win. What's the mentality issue?
Mentality, guys. This word should be not the topic today. When I see 120 minutes, just one team who deserve to win, that's not about mentality.
That's I can't buy that mentality. Winning mentality, which wins your games. There wasn't a winning mentality there yesterday. So
I know there wasn't because they never won, but I think to back up, sort of help or trying to say what Danny Rowe's trying to say is, if you keep producing that performance in terms of spending so much time in an opposition's final third or half, you'll win more than you'll lose.
Just one goal. That's all they needed.
Just one goal. If Fernandez had scored his header, Celtic would have struggled to get back in it because they'd no threat. But listen, they didn't. And Rangers are now going to have to prove that they can pick up the results with their performances.
Peter Grant's here tomorrow night along with Craig Moore. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Cheers,
Kevin,
Paul,
for coming.
thanks for having
Will
me.
you come back in?
I've ever invited me.
You're in great form.
I loved it, enjoyed it.
You're
Thank
invited.
you.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
The news is next. Back tomorrow at 5.